guys, you're welcome again. Before our guest starts, if you have a creative friend that you would love them to be in this session, because this is really going to be an amazing session. The topic today is talking about creative burnout in the age of infinite content. I want to be sure that you will find value for this topic. Our guest, Oluwabusayo Charles, is well ready to dish out, premium and amazing content. So you don't want to miss it. So if you have someone, a creative friend, a creative colleague, you don't want them to miss out, you can share the link real quick and let them join in. I have the privilege to welcome the OluCharles, Oluwabusayo Charles. Is of course a Christian and brand designer, and is known basically for three things, for faith, finance, and media. So with clap innovation, a digital clap innovation, welcome with me, Oluwabusayo Charles. Welcome, sir.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Jeremiah. Good evening, everyone. It's my pleasure to be here with you, and I also want to quickly appreciate Miss Mary. Sorry, I had to settle in from church, and she had to call me to remind me. But I am glad that we're doing this right now. Tonight, my time with you is not going to be much, but I'll trust that our moment together would be worth it, right? So, according to the topic that we want to quickly discuss, creative burnout, in the age of infinite content, apparently that's the age that we're in, compared to 2019, 2020. As a matter of fact, I think social media rather, content creation became a thing after the pandemic. There was a time I saw a particular content, of course, online, of I think a fashion designer, and that video showed the before and after. Traveled back to 2020 or 2019, where if you were recording, your boss would chastise you. Come on, don't do that. And traveled back to into 2025 or 2026, and then you're doing stuff without recording it. Then the boss came to chastise that guy again. All right. So compared to 2019, 26 years ago, some couple of years ago, content creation, content is has saturated the entire media space. All right. And that's because it's one of the ways that you convey or pass your own idea across. So if a brand wants to launch a product, one of the ways to go about it now is not the traditional way of advertising. Before now, I mean, okay, let's do it together. Before now, if you just launched a product, all right, and you want to talk about it for the PR, you most likely will go by way of radio, newspaper. I don't even know if people still advertise their product using newspaper, right? You use radio, newspaper, you go to a radio station. I hope you're here with me. You go to a radio station and then you publicize whatever it is you're doing, because the internet was not a thing. But right now, humans evolve. We always evolve, and that's the thing about AI as well. So let me just chip this in. You have to bear this in mind, that AI is here to stay. And like every other age, there are seasons or moments of transitions. So I'll just quickly talk about this and go back to which is my step to what I was talking about. So now, I do not entirely believe in evolution. I am a Christian. I believe that we were created by a creative God. And but then human development, we have developmental wise, we have gone through several transitionings. So even in the Bible, for instance, you realize that before, people started to live in buildings that were made with more than all of that. People started by living in tents, right? People lived in tents. And then, for instance, in scripture, it wasn't it wasn't far away from creation that fire was discovered, right? But then fire was not mentioned in the Garden of Eden. But then a couple of years down the line, fire was discovered. For whatever reason, if you check your scripture, you realize that the sacrifice that these guys, Cain and Abel, offered, they used fire, right? It means that humans have evolved over the years, and the things that we find as we evolve are supposed to make our lives easier. All right. So if you studied evolution, which I personally don't believe in that, I do not come from, I didn't come from apes, right? I came from God. I believe that 100%. But then if we're to run with that idea, which we can just run with scripture, in that we have evolved over the years, and then, you know, okay, let's just run with the idea of evolution, but I don't believe in evolution. So coming from the Stone Age, then humans evolved, and then then we have the, what's it called now? The Stone Age, the Metal Age, the Industrial Age, the Digital Age, and now there is artificial intelligence, right? You realize that as humans started to evolve, they started to find things that should make their life easier. So is the internet. That was how the internet came. For instance, the Stone Age, it was more about survival. You just needed to survive. So people would live in tents, run away from lions, just ensure that they survive by every means. And then over time, the evolution continued. And then, we have the internet. I was sharing at Ilorin some couple of weeks ago. I remember the first time I had to use Google, and I was shocked. I know some of us are. You can travel back in time and you still remember this. It's the first time I used Google. I remember I searched for something and I found it. I was shocked. Man, what is this? I mean, I am in my room. I search for stuff and then find it online. But then we have evolved beyond that, in that today you can create designs. And let us not lie, it's obvious that AI is getting smarter, right? It's obvious, right? And then we're getting to a point where your designs, what would take an hour, 2 hours, sometimes weeks, can be done in minutes now. I mean, I designed an entire website in less than a week, front end, back end, using Claude. What used to take high level intelligence now can be done in few minutes, few moments. That's the exact thing I want to bring into content. You must understand that few years from now, okay, I don't know if you know this. When Facebook was launched, all right, I mean, the first, okay, let's not say when it was launched. When the first time I had to use Facebook, if you remember, you realize you could exhaust the post that you see. Come on, is somebody like that here? I mean, when you continue to scroll and then you scroll and then you get a pop-up, oh, you have exhausted all of the things you should see for today. Are there people like that, or am I the am I the only one who have experienced that? Way back 2017, way back 2018. Yes, I mean, you just scroll down, and then you can get to the bottom of Facebook, and you guys still hear me? Let me know if you can still hear me. All right, let's just use the chat box. Awesome. So you can get to the bottom of this entire thing, and then you have to wait for some couple of hours after for more people to post, and then you continue to see more posts. But can I ask you, when was the last time you scrolled on Instagram, on Twitter, X, on Facebook, and then you got to the bottom, and then for that day there was nothing else to see? Come on, when was the last time that happened? Let's use the chat box. I would really want you to I want to engage you. When was the last time that ever happened? Maybe not in the last 5 years or the last 3, 4 years. I mean, you continue to scroll and then there is something to see. Somebody wants to say something. Somebody has an opinion about something. A designer just released the content. And now people make money from creating content, right? You absolutely, you realize that content is endless. You continue to just see. Now, how do you stay creative, or don't you experience creative burnout, even with the infinite content that you have around you? First thing you have to bear in mind is okay, let me go this way. I want to believe that some persons here are Christian, so I would want to use the Bible. All right, personally believe that the scripture is the wisest book ever written. So I hold the truth in those scriptures to be very, very true, and I hold them in high esteem. Now, remember in the beginning, God created, right? God created the heavens and the earth. Second verse is the earth was without form, was void, and all of that. And then God came back again and let there be light. Now, the first dimension of God that we saw according to scripture was a creative dimension of God, right? Now, all of the things God created was an answer to an immediate problem. Follow me carefully. There was darkness, and the corresponding response was what? Light. There was void, and the corresponding response was to take the void away and give it shape and give it form. So God says, let the water go that way, let the heaven go that way, let the ground bring forth trees, herbs, and all of these things. Spoke to the water, let it bring forth creatures in the sea. Now, God was creative, right? The creative dimension of God that we saw according to scripture was because there was a problem. It means that one of the ways to stay creative, even if there are multiple contents around, is to identify a problem and start to work towards providing a solution to that problem. If there is no exact problem that you're solving, it's a lot easier to experience creative burnout. I'll make you understand. So when, for instance, you open Photoshop, if you use After Effects, Figma, Framer, any of these creative tools, usually you have a blank canvas. Yes or yes? Come on, yes or yes? Except if you're using a template. And even if you're using a template, you still have to do a lot of editing. Come on, you know what? I need to get feedbacks from you. I really need to get feedbacks from you. So if you use Photoshop, CorelDRAW, Adobe Illustrator, Figma, Webflow, Framer, any of all of these softwares, most of the time, 90% of the time, you start from a blank canvas. That's a problem. And what that problem is beckoning on is a creative dimension of you. Now, the gap between being creative and solving a problem is identifying the problem. Now, when God in the beginning saw that there was darkness, the solution to darkness was what? Light. Not based on many opinions. Now, it's what we do. Now, I want you to picture yourself as though you were in the beginning. Now, this is the beginning. Imagine you were standing with God in the beginning. Now, you were not there, but just picture that was what happened. Imagine you were with God in the beginning, and then you saw the dark. Of course, apparently, the solution or the response to that darkness should be light. But imagine you have to scroll on. This is so funny. Imagine you have to scroll on Instagram, and then as you were scrolling, someone said, the solution to darkness is not always light. And like, oh, really? He says, yes, it's not. It is not always light. Sometimes it is resting. And like, oh, really? So and then you continue scrolling. I said, someone else says, based on experience, last Sunday, it was dark in my room, and because it was dark, I walked out of my room. Oh, really? So that's another option. So is somebody with me? I hope you're really following. I'm guessing somewhere. This is darkness. And the solution to darkness is light. But you must identify. You must understand that the reason why God was able to give a corresponding response to darkness is because God is omniscience, right? He knows all things. Unlike you have to identify. That's where clarity comes in. Clarity. You need to identify what the solution is, because every time there is a problem, it is beckoning on a creative dimension of you. We're trying to discuss how to not experience burnout as creatives. The first thing is to identify the problem. Going back to the instance that I used, so a client reached out to you, hey, Moses, hey, Ayomide, I want you to make a design for me. If you really are a designer, one of the things you want to do is to get a brief from them. Is that true? And this is one of the ways you know if you're really a creative. Not, oh, send me money, then I will do your job. One of the things you want to do is, oh, you can send them a question. You can send the client a questionnaire, or you can get on a call, and then you can have a discovery call with them, and then you're getting what you're trying to get at is to be clear. Oh, I want to understand this project the same way you understand the project. Okay, this is the logo I want to create. What is the vision behind it? All right, who are your audience, the demographic, the all of the information that you need to be able to solve that problem. Now imagine I just reached out and I says, hey, I want to brand myself. My name is OluCharles, and I want you to help me create a brand identity. And they're like, okay, that's all right, send me money. And then I sent you the money. I'm like, Charles. Then you just image Charles plus Olu, and then you design stuff. And then maybe I don't like red, but then you added red, and then you maybe now imagine that after getting on that call with me, hey, your name is Charles, right? Okay, that's all right, I'm going to brand you. And then after getting paid, you went on Pinterest, and then you're, oh, okay, I'll just use red and then yellow and that. At the end of the day, you would have created, but you would not have solved the problem. So, in being creative and not experiencing burnout as creatives, one of the ways to go about that is to be clear as to the problem that you're solving. So, one of the very first things that you need when, if you don't want to experience burnout as a creative, is to gain clarity over any project or whatever it is that you're doing. Can somebody echo that? Gain clarity. All right, gain clarity. That's one of the very things you want to, the best things you want to do. However complex the project is, however, I'm not getting your responses. However simple the project seems, one of the ways to not experience creative burnout is to gain clarity, and that is to identify the problem. Identify the problem. All right. So, for instance, look at what's it called now, look at I'm trying to look for this example, but I can't find it yet. I'll just continue to talk until I'm able to come up with a very solid illustration. So God in the beginning saw darkness, and because he's science, he could identify the problem. Oh, the solution to darkness is light. Where you're going to experience burnout is if you now, oh, maybe it's not light. Okay, let's try fire. Let's try that. By trying, you're already dissipating energy. You're already wasting effort where it will not count. And that's why you get, I like words, but I'll continue to talk. So you already have wasted effort in places that it's not going to count. And that's why many persons out, this thing is not working out, and then you get easily discouraged. You start to experience creative block, and then you're there, man, this thing is not working out. You experience that sometimes. That's true. I want to believe that's true. I mean, after designing for 3 hours, it started out, as a blank canvas. You brought something, you've gone on Pinterest, you've done a research, and then you're bringing out the images. But the things you pictured in your mind, the thing is not working out that way. So you tried a different font, you changed the color, you brought different images, and for whatever reason, it's not working. It is a lot easier to get burnt out that way. All right, if there's such a thing, to experience creative block, or to get stuck that way. And that's because before starting that project, there was no clarity. You didn't identify the problem. That's why I sincerely encourage, when you get a project, the first thing you want to do is to get on a call, and that call is a brand discovery call. All right. And I know for some people who do flyer designs, it's not a thing. All right. That's why I also encourage you to come up with a questionnaire. All right. Right, that would get all of the information that you need for that project. Oh, what motivated your brand? What is your USP? All right, what separates you from your competitors? Do you have color preference, and why do you want those colors? Do you have typography preference, and why do you want that typography? Why do you want that typography? Do you have brands that you already like what they do, and you want to get something in that direction, or we can use them as reference, not exactly copy, but we can use those things as references. But then many times you can just get the project started even when you're not sure. I released a particular book one time on the questionnaire. All right, you can just get on my website, and maybe you find something like that. You find it on my IG page. You ask questions until you are clear. You must start by identifying the problem. As a matter of fact, that's why you're creative. The first time we saw God as a creative, it was to solve a problem, not create a problem. All right, just search OluCharles. That's my IG page, OluCharles. Are you with me? The first time we saw the creative dimension of God, it was not to create a problem, it was to create a solution. But it started by what? Identifying the problem. There is darkness, there is void, there is formlessness, and you realize that everything that happened was a corresponding response to those problems. So to not experience creative burnout, start by gaining what? Clarity. All right, start by gaining clarity. If you don't gain clarity, it's the reason why the process usually is longer. You start by, you start by just, all right, it makes the work a lot tougher, and it makes you dissipate a lot of time that will not count. The second thing you must do is to create a structure or a system, right? For instance, to make you understand, all right, gain clarity, to not experience burnout. Meanwhile, I'm speaking from experience, and I want you to understand that if you really get what I'm saying tonight, it really can help. All right, it really can help. So first is to gain clarity. Whatever project you have been asked to create, gain clarity. Ask a lot of questions until you are clear about what you should do, until you know exactly what you should do. I say something often that during the brand discovery call, it is at that point you get to understand the problem the same way the the client or the person who is bringing the job understands it, and now plus your expertise, you know it more or understand it more. So during a brand discovery call is a transference of what they know to you, and that's your own raw material for creativity. Oh, this is exactly what my client wants, and then you mix that with your experts and say, oh, this thing cannot work, this is what would work, this color would not work, this is the color that would work. But without clarity, you just create without purpose, you create without a reason. And many times when you send that kind of product to your client, they say, oh, I don't like it, and then you don't even know why they don't like it, and then the back and forth is the reason why many times we experience creative burnout. Are you with me? Or creative blocks. So then the second thing I want to quickly mention is you must create a workable system. All right, there must be a system. Give me a moment, please. Excuse me. uh, all right, I am back. So the second thing you must do to not experience creative burnout, or if you already experience creative burnout, just do these things. All right, second thing is to create a system. All right, there must be a roadmap, a definite approach to executing a project. So, for instance, if you've been around engineers before or builders, you realize that there is a meticulous approach to building. It is not haphazard, it is not anyhow, then we get the result. But many times, many creatives don't have a workable structure, they don't have a definite system by which, through which they approach their creative process. The creative, sometimes you have to be where creatives are. Their creative process is scattered. There is no, Greek will call it methodology. All right, there is no a particular approach to getting the problem solved. So if you've seen building engineers before, they start building by digging. Is that true? If you are there, you may not understand why they are going through that process. Who wants to build and start by digging? I mean, the goal is to build. Building goes high up into the sky. But right now, this guy is saying, you know what? We have to start by digging. There's something he understands that you don't. He understands that every big building is standing on a deep foundation. So many times the foundation is deep so that it can carry the weight of the house. But if you're there, you most likely may not see the reason. Okay, there are times where I've been in some places, and then I was there and I saw the building engineer, with some of his guys. They had to sieve the sand. I don't know if I can't remember the name now. This gray sand. I don't know the name now. they decided to seal it, and then they were removing the stones. Then they added cement, and then they mixed stuff. So I'm wondering, okay, why do you have to remove the stone? The stone should serve a purpose now. But then you realize that they have a approach. They have a picture in mind, and to solve that picture, they understand that the process to solving it is not haphazard. It is not anyhow we get the job done. So for an average creative, the reason why it is difficult many times to get the job done, or you get wearied out or experience burnout, is simply because the approach many times is not clear. It is haphazard. It is scattered. It is haywire. So a building engineer starts by digging a foundation, and then they lay blocks, and then they know when it gets to the window level, they know that, oh, this must be done. Then after that time, they do other stuff, and then a carpenter will come, roof the stuff, and then plumb. There is a meticulous approach. You see that now. It's the same way. It's the same way with caterers. I really don't cook much, but I know that this process is applicable too. Now, say we have ladies here, even guys too, so it's not a ladies thing. I cook too. So let's say you want to make jollof rice. Now you have all of your ingredients. You have, wait, oh, hold on. Let me think about this. So you have your rice, you have your oil, you have your bay leaf, you have your meat, you have your curry, thyme, and all of these other things, and etc. etc. When you want to cook jollof rice and what you want to achieve is jollof rice, do you start by putting the pot on the fire, and then you pour the rice without water, and then you let it get burnt for a while, then you add water, then you add your seasoning, then you is that how it works? Come on, can I get your responses? Is that how it works? Is that how you get jollof rice? At the end of the day, you may not get a jollof rice, you may get something we don't know. Maybe you're coming up with something entirely different. To get the same result every time, there must be a methodology. There really must be a method. There must be a system that you approach what you're trying to create with. For exactness in results, there must be a methodology. You must keep that in mind. Oh, every time you want to be creative, you want to create mind-blowing stuff, there must be an approach, a system, and a structure. So we know that we are cooking jollof rice if we approach that structure, or I'm already bringing structure into cooking now. If we approach jollof rice using a particular method, you realize it can be the same rice, but when we want to make ofada, the process changes. Is that true? You people are not getting your responses now. I'll go. Are you here with me? All right, good. Excuse me again. Give me like maybe 30 seconds. I'll be with you shortly. All right, so I am back. So for exactness in your result, there must be what? A methodology. There must be a system. Oh, when I get a project, what I do is to get on a call first. Then when I am done, I'm going to read the brief again to understand the brief. Then I'm going to walk alongside with Claude, walk alongside with ChatGPT, and then break it further, break it down even further. And then I'm going to do mind mapping. And then I'm going to understand the five most important things for that brand. Are you with me now? Then I'm now going to do a research based on that. Then I will get my mood board together, forward it to the client, and then see if that aligns with the picture they have in their mind. If it aligns, then the next thing is to start to sketch what I have. Then I vectorize, then I present. That looks like a methodology. Imagine if everything is scattered, haphazard. Now, imagine when you wanted to go to an average person here must have gone through, the educational system, right? From primary school, secondary, and maybe tertiary level. You realize that when you started in primary school, although you didn't want to be there, but you still had to go, you just saw yourself in an oversized, an oversized gown. If you're a lady, or oversized shirt and short, and then you're there. A for apple, B for ball. I think even some school even do A for ass, A for ask, B for bump, then C for what's that thing now? But I want to believe that's what I'm trying to say. Now, starting from primary school, you had to learn A for apple, B for ball, C for cat, D for dog, and then that went on and on. Then you got to primary level, then you learned 1 plus 1, addition and subtraction. You learned arithmetics, and then you go to SS3, started to do integration, calculus, and all of those things. And now you're in the university, you are not even doing more complex stuff. Did you realize that there was a methodology, there was an approach, there was a system? It began with A for apple. Now imagine if they told you A is zebra, and then you believe that your A means A is for zebra, and then they told you D is for cow, and then you got to primary level and they told you 1 plus 1 is 11, 2 plus 2 is 22, 3 plus 3 is 33, and then you carried that on. I mean, how bad would that be? You see, everything began from foundational level because Nigeria has done well, or the educational system has done well, to create a methodology, a system through which they approach a problem. All right. So to not experience burnout as creatives, you must start by what? Gaining clarity. Identify the problem. Like God in the beginning, he saw darkness, he identified the darkness and knew the solution to darkness was what? Light, not food. Not food. So a client says, oh, I need a design. And then they already have a picture of the design, but then you're not meeting up with that expectation because there was no clarity. So they said, I want light, you're bringing food. What you're bringing is useful, but it's not relevant to the current need. So that's why you must start by what? Identifying the problem. That way, it helps you understand what exactly the client needs, and then it would help you to not dissipate energy or effort in the wrong area. Imagine if you have 2 hours to work on a project and then you've gone back and forth. The client says, oh no, I don't like that, and then you have to go back and then you started from ground zero again, and then the back and forth is the reason why you're going to get stuck. All right, so start by gaining clarity. The second is to create a system or a structure. It is called a methodology, a system through which you approach your project. There must be a system. Oh, you got a project, the first thing cannot be Pinterest. No, it cannot be that. So it has to begin with what? Gaining clarity. Gain clarity concerning that project. This is what my client works. Thank God for AI. You can take an entire brief to Claude. You can take an entire brief to ChatGPT and tell ChatGPT to explain that brief to you like a baby. And you'll be shocked that you will understand the project more. And that way you know in exactness what your client wants or what the project is about. Can I tell you why it is difficult to create your own project? You should know why now. It is easier to create logos designed for others until you want to create yours, because many times you are not even clear as to what you want. Are there witnesses in the house? Are there witnesses here? If you are a designer, try to create your own logo. And then for the first time you realize you don't even know who you are, and then what exactly do I even stand for? Maybe I should add pencil. It is because there is no clarity. And that's why if you check OluCharles, if you shake me, I am 3 things: faith, media, and finance. So to create my logo, it's a lot easier. I just have to incorporate all of those 3 identities into an icon, and then I'm able to create something. You see that now because there is already clarity. Have you tried working on your own portfolio before? You see what I'm talking about? Because many times there's no clarity. No clarity. The second thing is there is no system of structure. You don't have a methodology, an approach that ensures that your results are exact every time. So if we want to reproduce jollof rice every time, there must be an approach. You see that now? Oh, I want to make pounded yam. There is an approach. If you follow that approach, you will get the exact result every time. So many times the reason why yesterday you were creative, but today you're stuck. I'm like, come on. I know some of us, you must have seen some of you like, man, I used to be creative. Excuse me. I used to be, what happened to me? What happened to me? Check your methodology. Check your approach. Check your approach. Maybe now because somebody came online and said, if you're going to be creative in the 21st century, you must walk alongside with da, 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 da. And then they listed about 17 platforms. And then you're going from one platform to the next platform to the next platform, and now you are drained because you don't have a particular approach. You don't have a methodology. Are you with me now? All right, let's go over the things I've said again. To not experience creative burnout, the two things we have discussed so far, what and what? You can use the chat box. Let me know you're following. Use the chat box. What and what? Come on. Some people are somewhere on WhatsApp right now. They are not listening. Come on. What are the two things I've mentioned so far that would help you not experience creative burnout as a creative? First is what? Gain clarity. Identify the problem. Like God in the beginning, he saw darkness and identified that this is darkness, and the response to darkness is light. So start by understanding the problem that you're solving. All right. If the problem is not understood, there is no way you're going to be able to provide a solution. All right. The second thing is to introduce a methodology. You must introduce a methodology, a structure, a system. When I get a project, the first thing that I do is what? Gain clarity. Then I'm going to do research. I'm going to create a mood board. And when I am done, I'm going to present it to my client to see if they like what they see. If they don't, we go over the process again until they like it. And then you start to vectorize. And then you start to create. And then you start to add colors. And then you start to add all of these other things. If you jump all of those processes, you're going to be frustrated, and eventually it leads to what we are discussing tonight. I hope you're still getting what I'm saying. All right. I really hope you're still getting what I'm saying. So gain clarity, then introduce a methodology. All right. It is called your creative process. It makes your workflow entirely a lot more easier. All right. The third thing I would want to share with you may not look, excuse me, may not look like a lot of time, may not look like a lot rather, but it is um very, very profound. The third thing is time management. There's something I say often: when he that works meets he that sleeps, he that works will beat he that sleeps. Every time you spend not doing what you should be doing, you will spend the time you should use to do what you should do to do what you should not be doing. I'll go over that again. Every time that you spend doing what you should not be doing, you will spend the time you should use to do what you want to do what you don't want to do. Does that sound too complex? Not exactly. I believe so. So let's say I have a course to watch and I know that I should finish this course. Then I continue to procrastinate. And then I continue to do that. I would have the time. I will do it. And then 6 months has gone by. You've not done it. Now a project comes. The skill that you need, all right, the knowledge that you need to approach that project as a master or excellently, you don't have them. So at that point, you start to wish, I wish I finished that course. I wish I finished that YouTube stuff that I was watching the other time. All right. And I will go the other route. Say you have a client project, you're already executing it, and then another client brought a different project, and then you're promising, and then knowing fully well that, oh, I'm not done with this project, and it's going to take me the next 3 days or the next 1 week or the next 1 month to finish this project. Then a client brought another project and says, hey, bro, I like what you do. Can you deliver this project in 1 week? And you know that in 1 week time, you have to deliver a project you are on. And then you said, oh, no, Alan, I'll bring the job. Now you got the job. And then you want to start to take the job you were on more seriously, only to realize it will take you more time. Now, when you were done, you had less than 2 days to finish a project you already promised them it will be done in 1 week. How overwhelming is that? How overwhelming would that be when your mind is beclouded and there's so much noise? Like, man, I mean, you're looking at the deadline. Tomorrow, I have to submit this project, and a project that usually should take about a week, you're trying to crash it into 1 week. It's going to be very overwhelming, and you really, at that point, are going to experience creative block. You're going to stretch yourself. You're not even going to be as creative as you should be. I know some of you can relate because you procrastinate a lot. So stop procrastinating and don't do that anymore. And don't overpromise and underdeliver. All right. Don't, oh, because of the money says I'm going to pay you $1,000. Like, you know what? I'm going to pay you $1,000. And you know what? Bring the job. Are you with me? Bring the job. Meanwhile, it's obvious that you have less. Can we do 2 weeks? Or can we do this particular time? Because I want to give you the best, but right now I have a project at hand. Or if you can give me some more days, just let them know that you have something that you're doing at the moment. Are you with me? Then do what you should do when you should be doing it, so that you can do what you should do when you should be doing it. As I said the other time, every time you don't do what you should do, you will do what you should not do when you should be doing it. Or I think I mixed that up already. Every time every time you don't do what you should be doing, when you should be doing what you should be doing, you'll be doing what you shouldn't be doing. Does that make sense now? For instance, I have to make a design, but right now I'm watching a movie. It means when I should be watching a movie, I'll be designing. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? But the time I'll be making design, it will be under pressure. And I'm not going to be creative as much as I should be. Oh, a client told you, okay, can we have this project in the next 1 month? And then like, yes, 1 month. And then you you suspend the project for the next 3 weeks. And then you have 1 week now. And you're under pressure. You're trying to, man, I have 1 week. You know what I'm talking about? How easy is it for you to focus at that point? How easy is it for you to think excellently? How easy it is for you to come up with unique concepts? Even if you have unique concepts, you start to think of the constraint of time. Like, it's going to take a lot of time to be able to do this thing. Meanwhile, your last job will bring your next job. Every time you don't do a good job, good jobs don't come. So that's why you have to invest quality time into doing a good job, so that good jobs can attract even better jobs. And better jobs can invite or attract greater or better or excellent jobs, for lack of words. Are you still get what I'm saying? All right, so let's go over the things we have learned so far. To not experience creative burnout, start by what? Gaining clarity. Gain clarity. Gain clarity. Know what it is exactly you want to do. Please get on a call with your client. If it's impossible to get on a call with them, send them a questionnaire. Let the things you want clarity about be there. Or what's the name of your brand? What are the colors of your brand? Are you open to suggestions? All right. What type of font do you want? What kind of images do you want? Do you prefer illustrations or images or icons? Whatever. Gain clarity as to what it is you should do. The second thing is to what? Create a system, a methodology that makes it a lot easier to approach a project. And I told you before, in the, some moments ago, that to get in exactness a particular result, there must be a particular approach. The approach must be very systematic, all right, must be systemized in that when I do this, then I do that. Imagine you're pressing your phone. When you unlock your phone, you already know what you're going to see. When you click the camera, you know what exactly is going to come. That is a system, all right? On your laptop, it's called operating system. It means that the thing is so ordered in that if I click Safari, I know what will come. If I click www or something, I know the next thing that would happen. You see that's a system. I already know what would happen. If I type a number and I click call, I know the next thing that would happen. When I click call, camera will not come on. And if camera come on, go and repair that phone. Go and repair that phone. If you click a calculator and then what comes up is WhatsApp, take that phone to an engineer. Because the reason why you're able to predict that this is what I'm going to get is because there is a system. So designers, creators, create a methodology around your execution or executing any project. When I get a project, I'm going to do this, and then the next thing is this, that. So every time you follow that same system, and that way, every time you know you're going to create something great. It's something I'm saying. The third is to manage your time. All right. When you're under pressure, you really cannot be as creative as you should be. And that's the truth. Every time you postpone, every time you procrastinate, every time you don't do what you should do, when you should be doing something, you'll be doing that thing you didn't do. You see that now? that thing that you left and then you escaped. If I can use the word escape, you escaped that thing is coming back. And the time you should, okay, let's use the example of a student, all right, just in case some of you are still on campus now. Why is this so funny now? Just hear it. Now imagine you're a student. I mean, you just resumed a new semester, knowing fully well that your last result was not so good, your not so nice. And then you're like, you know what? This semester we are going to read everything we should read. And then you went on a break. You were looking at your book from afar. You didn't mind your book. You were going out, hiking, eating, doing 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 all sorts. And then 1 week to resume, like, you know what? Let's just resume. We'll do everything again. And then lecture resumed. You don't write, you don't take notes, and then you know what? I'm going to, how many months to exam? 3 months. I'm going to do 2 months rigorous, serious reading. And then you waste that 1 month, and then you waste including the next 1 month, you waste again. And then you're looking at 30 days to exam. You're like, you know what? 30 days. If I read 10 chapters every day, I'll be done with my handout. I'll be done with what a lecturer taught for 3 months. You want to read it in 1 week. How serious is that kind of person? And then you wasted 1 month, and now there is 1 week to exam. Now you're trying to crash read. You're going for from night class to night class. Your eyes is red like that of a smoker. Ah, and then you are complaining. This school is not this school is not fair. This is not nice. Oh, how the reason why it is that way was because you had all the time to read. Come on. You had all the time to read. Now you didn't read. Now you always have those guys in every department or every faculty. Yes, of course. It's even I said 1 week is even is even too much for some people. But then that's the truth. Now you crash read and then you don't do well in that exam. But you always know some people who 1 week to exam, they are going out, they're watching movies, and then you go and join them. You're going to score zero. Big zero. Are you with me? However funny this may sound, but you get the point, right? What that means is that your time is your currency, it's your commodity. And that's why you want to ensure that you manage your time well. And that's why, for whatever reason, I'm against social media. I'm really against it. Now, not the good side of social media, but the bad side of it. An average person here tonight, go and check your screen time. You spend nothing less than 7 hours doing nothing on your phone. Don't deceive yourself. You're going from Instagram to TikTok to forgetting that you're a creator, not a consumer. And every time you consume, you cannot create. You consume too much. There is overload of information. It's difficult to be creative that way. Are you with me? You must learn how to isolate truths from the diverse opinions that there are. But what you do many times is doom scrolling, overload of unnecessary information. And then you're going from TikTok to Twitter to WhatsApp. You view all your statuses. You wait again for someone else to upload. You start again. Come on. And you're creative. You're going to experience burnout. Your mind is always working. Your brain is always working. Come on. I was experimenting with myself this week, and it was to go 2 hours without doing anything. Not even books. I love reading books, but I experimented. I didn't do well at it because I realized, for me, sometimes I realized that reading is actually an escape. I'm trying to escape silence where it's just you and your mind. That's what an average of us, that's what we're trying to run away from. Meanwhile, that's where creativity comes from. Sometimes it's in meditation, in staying and just regurgitating the things you've heard over time. All right, going back over your jotters like tonight. Okay, remember all of the sessions you've attended. How many of them do you go back again to revisit? How many of them? It's just overload of information. You know them, but you're not becoming them. As you get what I'm saying now, I realized it was difficult. I mean, I have books here in my office, and then I realized I really cannot even go 1 hour without, if it's not my phone, then I'm reading one book, or I'm trying to just, I want to try to do something, because it's almost as though you can't be all by yourself. Just sit down for 30 minutes and do nothing. And it's just you and your thoughts, just you and your mind. It is difficult for an average person. Meanwhile, the foundation for creativity many times is just thinking, thought, thinking, identifying a problem, creating a system that helps you approach the problem in a way that makes room for exactness. Then manage your time. And I told you before, every time you don't do what you should do, when you should be doing what you should be doing, you'll be doing what you didn't do. It's the reason why many times motion looks like progress, but the motion is just cyclical. You're just going roundabout. You're really not making progress. You know I'm not lying, and that's the truth. Because many times we don't manage our time. We just continue to go from one platform. Imagine that all of those times that you continue to. Meanwhile, Miss Mary, please let me know how much time I have, so I have left, so that we can just, if we are open to prayer, we can pray so that God can take all of those distractions away and help you become more disciplined, right? So please, I'll be waiting for your message, maybe on WhatsApp, so I can know how much time I have left. But I hope you're enjoying yourself and you're really having a nice time. All right. So you want to ensure that you gain clarity. All right. Gain clarity. All right. Gain clarity. Then create a structure. That's a methodology. Then manage your time. You must ensure that time is well managed. That is your commodity. All right. For exchange. That's your currency for exchange. All right. If you give your, when I wanted to learn how to use After Effects, it took 2 weeks of shutting down and just focusing on After Effects. Shut down, and in 2 weeks I learned how to use practically the basic tools in After Effects. Check my page. You see some of the animations that I did. I didn't take any course. I took zero course on animation. Zero. It was just shutting down. Some of you take your phone to the toilet. Now you are in the toilet. May God help you. For hours. Carry your phone to the kitchen. Always with your phone. I want you to get the balance. I'm not saying you should not take your phone. You shouldn't use your phone when you need it. But when you are alone, like mommy Ibukun Awoshika Wole say, be true to yourself. You know that many times your phone is needless in some of the places that you go to. It's just a way to, you don't just like to be alone with your thoughts. Just you alone. I really hope you're getting what I'm saying tonight. I really hope you're getting. All right. So the three things that we've gone over tonight: gain clarity, a methodology that is a strong finance. Oh man. Okay, you can hear me now, right? You can hear me now. Awesome. All right. So let me quickly go over everything we've learned tonight. So to not experience create, first is awesome. Thank you. Gain clarity. All right. Second is a methodology. Third is what? Time management. And fourth is your environment. All right. So your environment matters. That's why if you have Cafe One or any of these workspace, all right, these studios, I encourage you to go there. It is difficult to be a creative in Nigeria. You may not admit or acknowledge it or accept it, but it is true. Did you realize that when there is light, the AC is on, there is the you know everywhere smells very good, all right? There is food. You tend to be more creative. Yes or yes. Imagine designing a place where the environment is chaotic. As you're designing with one hand, you're blowing an hand fan with the other hand because there is so much heat. You're blowing your hand fan, and then with one hand you're designing. And as you're doing that, you're also, I think there's another word for easing, right? Easing, like when you ease. But I think there's another word, a better word. I can't remember the word now, but you know what easing is. And every Nigerian calls it easing. Right, you had that with them. The small frustration that comes, your network is bad. No, not sighing. It is actually easing. When you, maybe when next, I'll try to find that word. It's not sighing. It is, I can't remember the word, but maybe that. But you're eating like you get that? Yeah, I believe there's another word actually, a more correct word, but let's just run. You have that to eat, and then the network is slow, and then there is no light, there is heat, your stomach is empty, there's no money in your account, and you're trying to be creative. It's more difficult, right? I just compressed a lot of things into what I just said. Fourth is your environment matters, right? Sometimes step out of your environment. If you have the finance, I'd encourage you get a studio, all right, or set stable. If you don't have the money, right, I encourage visit a space. If you can pay for 1 week, or sometimes could be once in a week, just go there to onboarding all of the things that that's weighing your soul down or your mind down, and makes it a lot easier to be creative. I hope you get what I'm saying. Then please eat, rest, step out. You're not I don't have the words now. You don't have to be indoor every time. I encourage you, walk sometimes. Just take a walk. Call a friend, call your wife to be. You see, I didn't say girlfriend, your wife to be or your husband to be. Talk with them, go and eat, play, then come back. Just unladen your mind. All right. I want to believe you've had a nice time. My name is Charles, and it was nice to have interacted with you. Thank you so much, Miss Mary, and thank you to the host. Thank you very much for having me.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Oluwabusayo Charles. Thank you so much for that wealth of knowledge you just shared. Guys, I like how you are giving your digital applause. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Let it keep coming. So, by the way, I asked the other time that if you have any question, and just let's just take one question. If I just missed out the question, I just saw a question in the chat box. Says, "How do you create your mood board, sir?" Okay, how do you create your mood board? I think this is more personalized. So, Mr. Charles, can you run through that
All right.
question?
Thank you very much. So thank you once again. The question is coming from John David. All right, came from John David. So how do you create your mood board? So you must understand that your mood board is based off of a research that you've made, or based off of the call that you had with a client. So it is an attempt to show them the direction you're trying to go with for their project. All right. So when you want to create your mood board, of course, depends on whatever software that you use. I use Adobe Illustrator for my mood board. So what I do is I study a particular brand that seems to speak the same, or maybe almost in the same tone, as in similar tone as the brand I am creating, or we like their colors, their use of imagery, whatever. So I pick that brand, get all of their brand assets, their icons, down to their tone of voice, to their persona, their brand logo, their font, everything. We put it in a PDF file. We can do that for maybe 2 3 brands, and then send it to the client. Oh, based on everything that we've discussed, this is a direction, these are the directions I think we can consider. So that way it already gives them a picture of what to expect. Do you understand that? So you create your PDF using Illustrator, and you simply gather together all of the brand assets of a brand that seems to have the same direction as the direction you want to go with for a particular project. Do you understand that? I think that would be my response.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Charles. Um, David, I hope you got your answer. Oh, you already said thank you. All right, guys, thank you so much for attending. You know, attending critique session for this month, and of course, we can't thank you enough, our very amazing guest, Mr. Charles. So, let's draw the curtain of today. Oh, Ferdinand. Oh my God. Okay, let's have it real quick before we close up. Ferdinand, real quick, please.
Yeah. Sorry. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Mr. Charles. Good evening, everyone here. So very quickly, I wanted to gain more clarity from the question he just answered. Um, My question is, must the mood board be from the same? Because it said something about getting brands that probably do the same thing that the client's brand do. So I'm asking if it must be like, let me say, I have a client that is coming from a tech, a fintech sector, or maybe a health tech sector. Should my mood board also align, or should I pick my mood board or the brands that I'm using for the mood board from the same particular niche to do my mood boards? I don't know if it's understandable like that.
All right. Yeah, I get you. I totally understand you. Now, imagine I am a client and I want you to create a logo for my school. And then in your mood board, you presented burger and KFC. Do you think I am going to understand what we want to do? Absolutely not. All right. So that you avoid back and forth misconceptions, questionings, and all of that, you have to make them understand that you really know what you're doing. So I encourage you to please present. God, is that my network again? All right. Or present, industries that are very similar and very close to the brand that you're working with. All right. It's the same way. Oh, I want to brand a hospital, and then mood board of a tech brand. I think that's even still close. All right, that's still close. But just ensure that whatever you're projecting is not far apart, like a school and a food stuff. That's too far apart. You see that now? So that's what I would encourage you to do. But just ensure whatever you're presenting is not too far apart from the brand that you're working with and or you're working on.
All right, thank you so much for that question, Ferdinand. And thank you amazing so much, Mr. Charles, for that amazing answer. So I believe that it's safe to draw the curtain of tonight's session. Okay, and that's a good night. I hope everyone has an amazing week ahead this week. All right, guys, do have a wonderful night rest and see you at next month's edition of Creative Session. Good night, guys.